Imagine a world where you could send money to anyone, anywhere without a bank as the middleman. A world where digital assets could truly be owned rather than merely licensed. This is the promise of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. Let's start by learning what on earth is blockchain technology. You hear this in the news, you hear it as a buzzword, and at its heart, blockchain is a special kind of database. But unlike a traditional database, which is controlled by a single organization, a blockchain is maintained by a network of computers. That network of computers are called nodes, and they're literally spread across the globe. Think of a blockchain as literally a digital ledger that records transactions. Each block, well, it contains a group of transactions. And once a block is added to the chain, thus the name blockchain, it cannot be altered without changing all subsequent blocks, a feat that would require, honestly, enormous computing power, which makes the system itself highly secure because it's difficult to, near impossible to change the blockchain. Now, what makes blockchain revolutionary is that it solves the double spending problem. So this is without requiring a trusted third party. What do I mean? In the physical world, if I give you a $10 bill, well, I no longer have it, but digital information can be copied easily. So blockchain prevents someone from spending the same digital money twice through its consensus mechanisms, through that ledger we just spoke about. Let's break down how this process works. It starts off with what we call a transaction initiation. Someone, myself, I request a transaction like sending Bitcoin to you. Then there's the verification. The transaction is broadcast to the network of computers, the nodes we just spoke about, which validate it's using known algorithms. Then the block is created. So verified transactions are bundled together now, and we've created a block. Now, you've also heard the term mining. I'm Bitcoin mining. Maybe someone you know has a Bitcoin miner in their basement. Well, mining, these are actually specialized nodes called miners. And what they do is they actually compete to solve complex mathematical puzzles. The first to solve it, well, it gets the new block to the chain and receives a reward. This is newly minted cryptocurrency. When we do our transaction and these blocks are created, it's because of these miners that are perpetuating and allowing the blockchain to continue. Without the miners, there is no blockchain, and the miners are rewarded in usually the cryptocurrency they're mining on that particular chain. Next, we have the block addition, right? A new block is added to the existing blockchain, and this is a permanent and a record that you cannot alter. Then our transaction is completed. The transaction is now over and it's complete. It becomes a part of the blockchain forever. Now, the beauty of the system is honestly its transparency and its security. Every node has a copy of the entire blockchain, making it virtually impossible for a single entity to manipulate the records without it being detected. That's the blockchain. What are cryptocurrencies themselves? Cryptocurrencies are digital or virtual currencies secured by cryptography. So unlike traditional currencies that are issued by our governments, we call those fiat currencies, most cryptocurrencies operate on what's called a decentralized network based on blockchain technology. Bitcoin, by the way, created in 2009 by an anonymous person, or we likely think it was a group using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, was the first cryptocurrency. Since then, thousands of alternative cryptocurrencies or altcoins have emerged, each with its own features and purposes. Now, there's a few types of cryptocurrencies and they serve various purposes in our digital ecosystem. There are currency coins like Bitcoin and Litecoin. They function primarily as digital money. They allow peer-to-peer transactions without any intermediaries. Then we have smart contract platforms. These are things like Ethereum, and they extend beyond simple transactions. Ethereum actually created a platform where developers can build apps and create these smart contracts. Smart contracts are these self-executing contracts with terms written in the code. Then we have something like a stable coin, such as Tether or USD coin. These are designed to minimize price volatility by pegging their value to stable assets like the US dollar, meaning Tether's goal is to stay tethered, thus the name, to the dollar. One tether is always $1. Not always, it does fluctuate by fractions of a penny, but the goal is always $1. Why would that be useful? sending money overseas, whatever that may be, so that we don't lose that value in that transaction. Then we have utility tokens. These provide users with access to a product or a service within a specific ecosystem. For example, a BAT, Basic Attention Token, is used within the Brave browser ecosystem. And what it does is it's a reward. Think of it like you earn rewards at Starbucks. It's very similar to that, but they use it to reward content creators. Then the big one you've seen is NFTs. NFT stands for a non-fungible token. And this represents ownership of unique items. So unlike cryptocurrencies, which are fungible, meaning one Bitcoin equals another Bitcoin, NFTs are unique and cannot be exchanged on a one-to-one basis. You saw NFTs in the form of art and everything else buying crypto art essentially through an NFT. Let's talk briefly about the technology behind some of these different cryptocurrencies. Different cryptocurrencies use various consensus mechanisms, all with the goal of validating their transactions. The first is proof of work, POW. And this requires miners to solve complex mathematical puzzles, but it consumes substantial computation power and energy. As you know, Bitcoin uses this proof of work system. Then we have proof of stake, POS. And this selects validators based on how many coins they hold and they are willing to stake as collateral. This requires significantly less energy than proof of work. Ethereum actually made the big transition in 2022 from proof of work to proof of stake. We also have a delegated proof of stake. This allows coin holders to vote for a small number of delegates who validate their transactions. And this makes the process just faster, but it is kind of potentially less decentralized, if that makes sense. Now, how does all this work for you inside Moolah? So for newcomers to cryptocurrency, let me tell you, the Moolah app is super user-friendly to help you start your crypto journey. So let me actually show it to you very quickly here and why Moolah is really the way to do that. So after you have onboarded inside the Moolah app, you can see we've gone through the entire process to get our account approved. I want you to tap up here to crypto. And one thing you'll see is Moolah offers the crypto ETFs. Let me explain to you why a crypto ETF, how it's different and why it is recommended. You hear a lot about crypto wallets getting hacked and everything else and dealing with the security issues behind this. It's my belief that the best way to hold crypto for a beginner is through an ETF. Don't get into the messiness of having your own wallet and everything else. If you'd like to go there, Moolah is in the process of building a product for that. But it is my recommendation, if you are new, to just buy a crypto ETF, exchange traded fund. It's like an index fund that mimics the Bitcoin price, the Ethereum price, whatever that may be for you. You can see our recommended 3 here that we show. And honestly, let someone else hold it in cold storage, safer, insured, everything else, so you have that level of confidence and you don't have to deal with it from that standpoint. And honestly, a small portion of your portfolio, this is still speculation at the end of the day. We started out with about 2% of our portfolio in cryptocurrencies and just being transparent. My wife and I are moving that to about 8%. Right now, we're about 7%. My goal is about 8%, maybe push to 10% of our portfolio in cryptocurrency. But again, we have a very different risk tolerance. Currently, as of this recording, we are in our 30s, right? So we have a different outlook than others. You may not want that same risk profile as well. Stick with the 2%. If you're willing to speculate with that, you've got to migrate and build that diversification based on what's best for you. Let's wrap up this because it's really coming to a course. I want to just end by talking about the future of the blockchain and cryptocurrency itself. So you hear about it in the news all the time, how blockchain really does have the potential in certain applications, and it's far beyond digital currencies. Think about it in financial services. This is how we at Moolah are thinking about it. How can I enable faster and cheaper cross-border payments? My wife was born and raised in Mallorca, Spain. It is very difficult for us to send money back to her family and her family to send money back to the United States here. Blockchain technology could allow and create these newer financial instruments to allow that to happen much more effectively. Think about supply chain management. Those of you that are in warehousing, this provides transparent and immutable records, unchangeable records of a product's journey from the manufacturer to the consumer. Think about it. Here's a hot button topic. This isn't a political statement by any means, but think about our voting systems on the blockchain. Tamper-proof voting records for election security. It just not a political statement, It just makes sense. Think about it. Many of you work in the healthcare field. How can I secure my patients' records while allowing still appropriate access for the proper healthcare providers? Cryptocurrencies are going to continue to evolve. Central banks worldwide, by the way, are deploying and exploring their own digital currencies, while existing cryptocurrencies are developing solutions for challenges like scalability and energy consumption. Listen, your first step, now that you've got a little bit of knowledge isn't power, it's just potential power. Go put it to work. Again, I recommend a Bitcoin ETF. You can find them inside the Moolah app, the ones that the algorithm recommends for you, to check those out. Perhaps by the time you see this, we've even built kind of Moolah 2.0 with our greater crypto experience in there as well, but that is coming. We're all in on this. And I truly believe this is the future as well. I believe Bitcoin is what gold was in the 70s, and gold still continues to be in some ways with all this volatility lately, right? That's what I really believe this is going to become. I know it doesn't pay dividends, but nor did gold, right? But no one put all their portfolio in gold, at least not sane people, right? Put a small portion of your portfolio in it as speculation, as a hedge, and let it ride. Maybe do some dollar cost averaging in there as well in those ETFs. Listen, I hope you really enjoyed this. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day, everybody. I'll see you.